everyone. Hello. I am Margaret Tran, and welcome to the Mindset Bitches podcast. And thank you very much for joining me. Today is our episode 8, and I want to continue with Pam's topic last week, which was the way of letting go and forgiveness is to March 4th. Well, last week I was busy, so I was asking Pam to do a podcast by herself. And then this week, again, I am busy. But I said I'm going to do it myself once I'm free. So it's fair for both of us, right? Anyhow, I truly appreciate your listening and watching. This week, our episode is about, is it difficult to forget and let go? And can we forgive and let go? Last week, Pam said that she had found peace in her heart and mind. She had been able to get up each day and not to have to carry that burden around by giving grace, letting go, and forgiveness. Well, I'm telling you the truth. It's not as easy as it sounds. And for me, even I have the tools and techniques on how to train my mindset to shift it when it's necessary. But in a um, in a certain situation, I still do get stuck in the chaotic event. And without the knowledge of I should forgive, let go, or should I not let go and forgive? So every situation is completely different. But let me share with you my story back then when I was uncontrollable sadness, disgrace, and rising my way of thinking to get revenge on the person of whom I love. For what? To release my hatred. So let me go back in time between 2003 and 2004. And at that time, my husband and I were living in Arizona. At that time, we had financial difficulties. And toward the end of 2003, I was pregnant. And when I told my husband, the first thing came out of his mouth was, look, we could not afford to have another child, and I'm not ready for it. Well, my thought was, if I wasn't married, then maybe I'll think about. But on the other hand, I am married, so the answer was no. I told my husband, I will leave you, but not my child. I mean, how could a man, a married man, a husband, and a father who had the right mind to climb into bed, have sex with me, and not have the right mind to take the responsibility for his action, right? So we kept arguing back and forth, and this led on for a few months. And meanwhile, listen to this, during that few months, while we're arguing, he had the nerve to go online, find a woman, and every single night, she called him 9 o'clock to talk to him. And every time she called, he ran out into the back porch or front porch and talked to her. To him, he thinks I was invincible. I mean, I was, not there. And I don't think he cared of what I thought. I don't think he gave a shit, excuse my language, about our marriage and our child. So instead of figuring out how to solve the problem and change the problem, he decided to go out and flirt with another girl under my roof. What the? I swear, I wanted to kick his behind out of the house. But I thought of my unborn child. What about him? I don't want my child to come out to this world not having his father around. And my husband was a good man. He's a family man. He took care of the family. But so I didn't know what to do. So I decided to snoop around his phone and got the girl number and called her on a public phone. At that time, there's still a public phone out on the street. So when I called her, I asked her if she knew of a man named Chris. And if she had known that he is married and had 4 children and 1 on the way. I was over exaggerating a little bit. I just added 3 more children into making the situation more extreme. Well, child support girlfriend. Well, guess what? He intentionally did not mention any of that to her. I could tell the disappointment in her voice. And I asked her, stop talking to him, stop seeing him if you are seeing him. So she said she'll stop. You know, my heart was excruciatingly painful. I felt like I was stabbed multiple times, bleeding and let to die dry. I mean, I was in the darkness and I could not bear to let go, forgive, or to move on. I mean, how do I let go of that pain? And importantly, how am I going to solve this painful issue? I ask myself. Even though he didn't physically cheat on me, but I still consider as cheating. For me, whether it is a one night stand or has a change of heart and having seem like to me is like an affair online. It is still considered adultery. Well, I'm not sure if you all agree with me. But anyhow, my resolution was that I bought him a plane ticket to visit his family in Vietnam. And I gave him a choice when he comes back. If he still wants this family and his children, then I will let go. Everything will be forgiven, and we can start over just like nothing ever happened. So when he came back, his final decision was to stay with the family. Awesomeness. He no longer showed any signs of flirting or cheating for 15 years until recently. But that's another story I will tell you in a later episode. Now, back to the question. Is forgiveness so difficult? And this is what I got out of it that we all know what it feels like to be wronged by someone. We all felt the pain of betrayal and the hurt of mistreatment. I know not all of you go to church or temple, nor this is about religion. However, I am Buddhist and I have many friends from different religious background, and in which one of my friends, she is Christian. Even though we have a different religious background, but every time when we sit down to talk, and actually once in a while our conversation merge into toward about our religions, we both realize we often hear about God's forgiveness in the church or temple. Unfortunately, our emotions don't always line up with what we mentally agree with. And while we see that forgiveness is central to God's plan for us, but it is far from easy. Trauma can have lasting effects on person's psyche. And we can tell ourselves dangerous story when they become stuck and swirling continuously in our thoughts. Too often people allow their experiences to define them. They begin to nurture an identity as a victim and never seem to be able to escape it. So when people hold on to the hurt for so long that they forget who they were without it, they often find themselves jumping from one dreadful situation to another with a loop of, why does this keep happening to me, at the forefront of their minds? Excuse me. So, what did I learn from my experience? The lesson that I have learned and being able to let go and forgiveness is that we have to define ourselves and find our courage by refuse to let unforgiveness deteriorate our souls. When we let resentment fill our days and allow seething anger to boil under the surface of our actions, we leave little room for peace and joy in our lives. We wrap discontentment around ourselves and our pain and hold it tightly, even when the key to finding an abundant life. It is not just for the sake that we forgive, but I assure you, it is also for our own. And just like Pam said last week, that giving forgiveness is not so much for another person as it is for me. We all know it is difficult to forget and let go. And we know forgiveness maybe seem impossible, but it is not. Before we can learn how to forgive, we must first believe that forgiveness is possible. And forgiveness does not mean that you simply forgive and forget, nor does forgiveness mean that you pardon that person of their actions. But forgiveness instead is letting go of that anger, and instead of choosing to release the desire to punish someone, right? So, yes, forgiveness is a choice. But here's the thing, while we may accept these statements on the surface, we often have the trouble following through an act of forgiveness. There's certainly a reflection period involved when pain passes. That's when you realize that number one, you're stronger. Number two, you're happier. So sooner than you think, you have forgiven the person or people who have hurt you. Utmost important is that you enjoy a happier, stronger, more fulfilling life. All right? So that is the story of my life. And I have conquered my mind and healed my wound. I have found the way back myself and my freedom from pain. And this is what I have, you know, gathered, that love is the source of all life. It is the glue that holds everything together. And to love is to live, and to live is to forget. When you forgive, you liberate yourself from the chain of resentments and bring life back into your life. And when you forgive, you become free. Free from pain, suffering, and free from everything holding you back in life. Through the act of forgiveness, you return to life. You return to love. And you return to self. Now, let me ask you, does any of you have one of the following scenarios happen in your life? A cheating spouse, your parent neglected you, a close friend lied to you, somebody disowned you, or your peers made fun of you. So now is your turn. It can be someone in your past, present, or even it can even be you. When was the last time you truly and deeply forgave someone? You can share your comments in the comment section, or you can share your thoughts by emailing us at mindsetgals@gmail.com. We are extremely thankful to our listeners and watchers. Feel free to listen to the Mindset Bitches podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitchers, Apple Podcasts. And if any of you would like to watch our videos instead, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to the Mindset Bitches and hit the notifying bell button so that way you know our new video coming out. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review and we might read that on the show. Any feedback is greatly, greatly, and greatly appreciated. And by joining in our mission to keep this vodcast going, we truly appreciate your help. Excuse me. So contact us on the Mindset Bitches in the Facebook group, Instagram, Twitter, or again, email us at mindsetgals@gmail.com. And you can hit us up if you want to advertise, be a guest, have a topic that you want us to cover, or just want to say hello. All right, you all have a fantastic week. See you next week on a different topic. Bye bye.